So, hello and welcome back. As you can see, I've got a computer in front of me. So I finally, after resisting it for years, I've got a computer in the workshop. The main reason I resisted it is because of the size. I had the old one which I've used in here, but it's just too big. Now, I bought this one which is called an all-in-one. In other words, although it just looks like a monitor, it's got all the gubbins of a computer behind the back of it, and there isn't much to see there either, so I'm quite impressed with this. By the way, that is Dennis, who's been dead 8 years now. Best cat I ever had. Loved him, he loved me. I used to take him for walks up the hill behind here, but the trouble with that was his poor little legs weren't long enough, and he used to struggle to keep up with me. Sometimes I had to carry him back. Anyway, it's beside the point. Now this thing, it runs Windows 11, which I've never used before, but it took up a bit of time, and it tried to put up a fight with me, but I managed to persuade it to behave like a normal computer I'm used to, and it all seems to work extremely well, and it starts up in 10 seconds because it's got an SSD drive in it. What else does it do? I don't know what else it does. It does what a computer does, doesn't it? Main problem with it though is, because I want to use it for audio measurements using the REW software up there, it's got a hideous combined 3.5mm headphone and microphone connection. Totally useless to man, no use to man or beast. So I had to go and buy a box, which I'll get onto later. You know, a USB external sound card thingy box, whatever it's called. And apart from that, the other thing I like about this computer is I've got not much on it. I've just got a load of data sheets basically, and I'll just show you those in a minute when I can get the picture right. I'm not sure that's right either, but that'll have to do for now. But up here, documents, component data, got hundreds of PDFs of all the components I've used over the years and downloaded data for, and instructions manuals. Right, well that's all the service manuals and instructions, hundreds of them for different pieces of equipment that I've worked on. And what I like about this is, as soon as I got it connected to the internet and all those installed, it started uploading them all without my permission, but whatever, to OneDrive, is it? Microsoft's thing, which is quite useful in a way, because it means I can access them on other computers, although I've got them on various computers and on my phone and whatever. And the only problem is, OneDrive you only get 5 gigabytes free. I think I've used about 1.8, maybe 2 gigabytes, so I'm not going to run out too quickly. And slight problem with the internet, the Wi-Fi signal out here is pretty weak, but I'm surprised it got a signal at all, because my phone struggles to get a signal out of here, and consequently the speeds I get is quite low. But I'm not too worried about that, because I just want to look things up quickly or download data sheets, whatever, so that works quite well. But what I wanted to do, oh yeah, what I want to get onto now, because of that audio input problem, I had to buy this thing, which I stuck to the underside of the bench, and very cheap it was too. I think it was £11. It's a USB to sound card, external sound card. And what's the name of it? Let me just get up the internet, find out the name of it. Where's my purchases? Okay, here it is. That's what it is. It's CM6206. Cost me £11.15, which is all very nice, being that cheap. But it took over a week to get here. But and when it arrived, I can't show you now because it's fixed in there. But the back panel, plastic panel, was loose, falling off, and when the plastic tabs had broken, that held it in place, and with screws. 2 screws are missing as well, which is really annoying. You know, I mean, that's the only thing that lets it down, is the quality of the build, and maybe the quality of the, oh yeah, here's one of them. That's one of the plastic bits that I found broken off. So couldn't be bothered to contact the seller. Oh, it's too much hassle. And if you sent me another one, it would take another week. So I just glued the back on. The front still comes off and the board slides out, so it's not a major issue if I needed to get inside it. And what else to say about it? It's got line input, front outputs, rear outputs, and centre base output. Now the front output is really hard to get the plug in. You've got to push it really hard. But how long that'll last, I don't know. Hard to pull it out as well. And I've sprayed some, dare I say, WD-40 in there, which didn't make much difference. The rear output is very easy, but for some reason I can't get a signal out of that, just out of the front one. Oh well. I think main use will be for an input rather than an output. So what I wanted to do was oh, by the way, I had to saw the bench away because I had to move that down for it to sit on, that signal generator. There's a back panel on the bench, and I had to saw a slot, I think 14 inches wide, at the back, which is really, really hard because I couldn't use a power saw because it wouldn't have gone down low enough, jigsaw, and I had to use an ordinary, and also the space between the back and the wall is about 3 or 4 inches, so I had to use a hand saw, and it took a long time and a lot of effort to cut the back piece out of the bench. But anyway, it all worked out in the end. So what I wanted to do was show you this software which I showed before on the other computer. Let me just stabilise this camera. So I've got this thing called REW out there, which Rich, one of my subscribers, told me about. I downloaded it and installed it on the other computer, and it did work quite well on the other computer. But as I said, that was too big to have in here. So now I've got it on this one, and in theory it should work. I've got a level there. I'm using my second board I built of the 1 kHz low distortion sine wave oscillator, and this board uses the TLO74 op amp rather than the expensive Burr Brown one. which is in my main box. So what we can do is, we've got a scope on here, of course. I can run that. That's all very nice, don't want to use that. It's really the spectrum analyzer that was, I thought, the most useful thing. I'll get that working. Make it bigger. Right, so what are we reading then? Oh no, this camera is just disastrous. It's because I got the extension on quite high up, and it tends to droop as things do as they get older. Well, let's see if that'll stay there. I think I need to turn the level up a bit. I'm trying to work at half a volt. Half a volt minus 6. It's just a single turn pot, so it's really tricky to get it exactly right. That'll do. Minus 6 dBs a volt. I think that sounds good. Any more than that, and everything else I've tried, including the other computer, just overloads, and the harmonics come up enormously. But as you can see, we've got the fundamental there at 1 kHz from the CM6206 1 kHz oscillator, and then you can see the harmonics, second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever, all the way up. And if we sort of consider this is 10 dBs a division, so we're looking at 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. We're looking down at over 90 dBs roughly for the second harmonic. And according to this, with its THD measurement, I'm getting 0.0019, maybe 0.002 at times. And bloody camera. Anyway, right, but that's a bit odd, because when I was using this software before on the other computer, that was right down at 0.0014ish, and the only thing I can think of is that this little USB sound card box is just not very good quality. Well, what do you expect for £11? And I may get a better one at some point, but having spent all the money on the computer, I couldn't afford much else for the time being. So that's with this TL074. So what we could do is we could look at the other box, the other one which is in a box, other circuit, which is the one I use, or will use, for testing audio amplifiers. So if I disconnect this one and plug it into the box under the bench, turn it on, wait for it to all settle down, and it isn't. Wrong plug, wrong hole, as the actress said to the bishop. So okay, so that's the spectrum coming out of the low distortion 1 kHz oscillator with the Burr Brown expensive op amp in it. Forgotten its number. Again, it's half a volt roughly, and doesn't look much different to the TL074. And the THD, according to this, is 0.0015, so it's almost exactly the same as the cheaper op amp. But as I've said before, and as I've learned, how much can you trust all these measuring devices when you get down at that sort of low distortion level? But anyway, to finish this off, well, not quite, but nearly, let's look at the HP 8903 with its internal 1 kHz low distortion signal source. I just set that up. Bloody camera. Okay, well that's the output from the 8903 Hewlett Packard. As we can see, -6 dB volts, half a volt, and it doesn't look that much different, does it? I mean, there's a lot more rubbish down here, which is, I know that one's 50 Hertz, and these will be harmonics at the 50 Hertz, but this one says more or less the same as the last one's, 0.0015, and if you do the measurement on the HP, using the HP, I'm measuring down at 0.001, so I don't know whether I can trust my new little box or not. But there you go, that's what that one looks like. The main difference, I think, is all this stuff down here, but I'm not too worried about that. And to finish it off, nearly, not quite, we could look at the Keithley's output, 215's output. Okay, so this is the Keithley's 2015's supposedly low distortion signal source, and it looks pretty awful, really. I mean, the harmonics are much worse than anything else I've checked so far. So I don't know about that. It doesn't seem great to me, but it is what it is. And as for THD, it's the worst of all of them at 0.03%. So not very good, really, and I wouldn't use that as a low distortion signal source. Whether there's something wrong with it, I don't know, but bearing in mind that it's 0.03%, I don't think it can measure that better than that anyway. So there you go, that's that one. Finally, I think I'll just put the function generator on it. Computer's gone to sleep. Yeah, I'll put my Rigel on it and see what that looks like. So that's what the Rigel looks like, and that is the worst of all of them. There's a massive thing there. It's not even a harmonic. I don't know what the hell that is, because that's a 6, that's a 7th harmonic. It's right in the middle. What's that thing then? 6.24 kilohertz. Well, I don't know what the hell that is, but it shouldn't really be there. It's obviously some sort of internally generated rubbish inside the function generator. But there again, you can't expect too much from a fairly cheap function generator, and it's THD 0.026%. Well, it's better than the Keithley was, in theory. But, you know, it's synthesized, isn't it? It's going to generate a load of rubbish, rather than something that's just an oscillator, free running, whatever you want to call it. Well, that's about it. I mean, what else can I show you? Can't really show you much else. The only other thing I did before I had this computer, on the other one I did some screenshots using the other computer, and yeah, on that one, that's the OPA whatever it was, Burr Brown op amp, and that was measuring 0.0014, on the other computer, and that's the HP 8903.0019, and Keithley, well, 0.03 again, about the same. Rigel, done all that rubbish. TLO 74.0013. So there you go, that's just what I did before I got this computer using the other one. I stored them in that file. I might do the same again when I feel like it. But I think the main problem maybe is that I bought a fairly nasty cheap USB sound card thingy box, whatever it's called, and it'll get replaced one day when I've got some more money, which I haven't at the moment. So that's about all that's been happening really here. Weather's still nice and warm, gales tomorrow. Anyway, thanks for watching, bye for now.